Hello and welcome to i-nastava. This is a lesson in English language for the second grade of high school. The topic of our lesson today is fake news. My name is Livija and I will be your teacher today. Together we will analyze the news. You will be asked to write a piece of news and to write an opinion essay. Now it's time to get ready. Please prepare your notebook, something to write with, and your smartphone or your computer. Don't forget, you can pause the video lesson at any point. Let's start the lesson today by talking about the news. What does the word news mean in English? How many meanings are there? Pause the lesson and think about it. The noun news in English is uncountable noun, and it means new information about something that has happened recently. For example, what's the latest news? Have you heard the news? That's great news. As mentioned before, news is uncountable noun. It means there is no regular plural form. News is the singular form of the noun, and in the plural, we say pieces of news. When used in a sentence, it is correct to say news is good. We talk about news a lot, and depending on the context, here are the adjectives that we can use with this noun. If the news is good, the adjectives are good, great, excellent, powerful. If the news is negative, the adjectives are bad, gloomy, grim, sad, or tragic. News can also be old or stale, depending on when we heard this piece of news. Hot, latest, or recent. The news can be domestic or home news if it is close to us, local or regional, and in the wider context, news can be national, foreign, or international. Please pause the lesson now and copy these words into your notebook. You can add other adjectives to each category as well. The list of verbs that collocate with the noun news is quite long, so here we will mention just a few. Get, have, hear, learn, receive. Also, announce, break, bring, give, tell, and spread. And now, here is the first task for you. Here are several sentences. In each of these sentences, a verb is missing. Please read through the sentences carefully and decide which verb or verbs fits into which sentence. Pause the video lesson now, copy the sentences into your notebooks and fill in the missing words. Once you are done, come back and we will check together. Are you ready? Let's check the key together. The police had to break the news gently. Mr. Smith started his speech at the gala by announcing the new project. We need to tell them the news. When did you hear the news? Or when did you get, or learn, or receive the news? There are more than one possible answer here. And finally, Jenny ran from door to door, spreading the news. Well done. We talked about the different meanings of the noun news at the beginning of our lesson. So when we use the definite article in front of the noun news, the meaning changes. The news is a regular television or a radio broadcast of the latest news. Then we talk about radio or television or TV news. The news can be evening news, lunchtime news, or the 8 o'clock news. The verbs we usually use are we hear the news, listen to the news, see the news on TV or watch the news, read or broadcast. The expressions that are often used are in the news and on the news. We can divide the news into two categories, hard news and soft news. Hard news is typically used to refer to topics that are usually timely and important, such as politics, international affairs, business news, technology, and so on. Soft news, on the other hand, include topics such as entertainment, celebrity, arts and culture, sports, lifestyle. Which types of news interest you? What about your parents? How about your friends? Do you think men and women are interested in the same types of news? We can find answers to some of the questions in the survey carried out by Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism. According to the survey, there are differences. This bar graph shows interest in specific topics according to gender. We can see a huge difference in the first topic, sport. Is that a surprise? Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not much of a sports fan, so this is not a surprise for me. Now, look at the graph and see if there are any other surprises. Also, which topic is equally interesting to both genders? Crime and security. Yes, you're right. And which one is close to being equal? Environment. Good. You have probably heard that a good piece of news answers these 6 questions. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. But for all of us who read or watch the news, it is the headline that counts the most. The headline needs to be catchy to draw the attention of the audience. Headlines in newspapers in particular use different grammar rules to everyday English. This is because they are designed to be short and to attract attention. Here are some of the rules that are often used to achieve this. Present simple tense is used for past events, but also headline does not start with a verb, as for example, tiger escapes zoo. There are no auxiliary verbs in headlines. For example, temperatures rising as climate changes. Also, infinitives are used for future events. The verdict to be announced on Friday. It is common for articles not to be used in headlines, as for example in the headline, Queen to appear tomorrow. The verbs to be and to say are also left out. For example, students happy with new decisions, or Mr. Jones, this is war. And now it's time for your writing task. Choose one of the photos from this slide here and write a news article on it. Remember, your article needs to attract readers, so write a catchy headline. Keep your article interesting, precise, and timely. Before you send your article to your teacher, please go through this checklist. Are all 6 questions answered? Remember the 6 questions that a good piece of news answers? Have you used present simple in your headline? Pay attention to auxiliary verbs and articles in your headline. One of the rules says leave them out. Is your headline catchy? And finally, have you proofread your article? If all of the answers are yes, your article is finished and you can send it to your teacher. Now that you have written your first news article, let's play a game. Would you like to experience what it's like to work for BBC? Try out their game. Here is the bit.ly link or QR code. It will take you to this fun activity. Pause the video lesson. Enjoy playing the game. Don't forget, come back. Our lesson is not finished yet. So far, we've talked about news and the news. You've experienced working for BBC. But let us focus now on one more type of news. This dangerous type of news. Fake news. Fake news are dangerous because they manipulate the audience. They just appear to be news. They are usually spread on the internet or through other media, and they are created to influence political views, to falsify the truth, to twist the truth. Very often, pieces of news are exaggerated. Don't forget, there is no truth in fake news. We as readers, as viewers, need to be aware of the dangers of fake news. In order to be able to distinguish fake news from real news, there are some tips to help us. We will watch a video clip together. While watching, please write down the strategies that are helpful. Are you ready? Let's watch.
Fake news is nothing new, but bogus stories can reach more people more quickly via social media than what good old-fashioned viral emails could accomplish in years past. A lot of these viral claims aren't news at all, but fiction, satire, and efforts to fool readers into thinking they're for real. Here are some strategies to shield yourself from fake news. Are you familiar with the source? Is it legitimate? Has it been reliable in the past? If not, you may not want to trust it. If a provocative headline drew your attention, read a little further before you decide to pass along the shocking information. Even in legitimate news stories, the headline doesn't always tell the whole story. But fake news, particularly efforts to be satirical, can include several revealing signs in the text. One fake story even attributed a quote to a dolphin. If that had been real, you could argue they buried the lead. Another telltale sign of a fake story is often the byline, if there even is one. And in some cases, the authors are not even real. One story was credited to a doctor who won 14 Peabody Awards and a handful of Pulitzer Prizes, which would be very impressive if it wasn't also totally made up. Many times these bogus stories will cite official or official-sounding sources, but once you look into it, the source doesn't back up the claim. Some false stories aren't completely fake, but rather distortions of real events. These mendacious claims can take a legitimate news story and twist what it says, or even claim that something that happened long ago is related to current events. One deceptive website took a story that was over a year old from CNN and slapped on a new, misleading headline and publication date. So on top of the deception, there was copyright infringement. Remember, there is such a thing as satire. Normally it's clearly labeled as such, and sometimes it's even funny. But it isn't the news. And then there's the more debatable forms of satire, designed to pull one over on the reader. These posts are also designed to encourage clicks and generate money for the creator through ad revenue. But they aren't news. We know this is difficult. Confirmation bias leads people to put more stock in information that confirms their beliefs and discount information that doesn't. But the next time you're automatically appalled at some social media post concerning, say, a politician you oppose, take a moment to check it out. Try this simple test. What other stories have been posted to the news website that is the source of the story that just popped up in your social media feed? You may be predisposed to believe a story about a politician you don't like, but if the alleged news site also features a story about Guardians from Antarctica retaliating against America by hitting New Zealand with an earthquake, maybe you should think twice before sharing. And yes, that earthquake story is a real example of a fake story that popped up. We know you're busy, and some of this debunking takes time, but fact-checkers get paid to do this kind of work. Between factcheck.org, Snopes.com, the Washington Post Fact Checker, and PolitiFact.com, it's likely at least one has already fact-checked the latest viral claim to pop up in your social media newsfeed. And remember, newsreaders themselves remain the first line of defense against fake news. To see more, go to factcheck.org.
Let's check what you have written down. There are 3 useful tips. Check the source, check the date, and use fact checkers. Well done. Fake news pose a real threat in real-life situations, but in games, we can be a bit more relaxed. Here are 2 bit.ly links, 2 QR codes. You can use either links or codes and play 2 different games. You can play both games or you can choose only one. Both of these games will teach you a bit more about fake news. Pause the video lesson now, choose a game and have fun. And here is your final task. Write an opinion essay in about 150 words. Please state your opinion on both news and fake news, referring to the material from this lesson. Your essay should have 4 clearly visible paragraphs. Introduction, in which you will state the topic. Body part 1, in which you will express your personal opinion and provide 1 or 2 examples. Don't forget, you need to explain your opinion. In body part 2, you will express and explain the opposing opinion and again provide 1 or 2 examples. And finally, in the last part of your essay, in conclusion, you will conclude the topic referring to your opinion. To be sure that you have written a good essay, here is a rubric to help you. Pay attention to organization, opinion and examples, vocabulary and grammar. I hope this rubric will help you and that writing an essay will not be too much of a challenge for you. This is the end of our lesson today. Thank you for being with us, and until the next time, bye!